Welcome to Distro Podcast.
Welcome to another episode of the Distro Podcast. This podcast is brought to you by Distro.io, the better ZipRecruiter. If you want to hire A players anywhere in the world within a matter of hours, go to Distro.io and we'll take care of you. All right, today we are meeting and getting to know Kurt. Kurt, thanks for being over and joining us today virtually. Where are you located today, Kurt?
Yeah, hi Andrew. Yeah, so I'm located in Copenhagen, a little north of Copenhagen, in something called Rungsted, out to the sea. Very nice place.
Very cool. So far away from us here in the United States, I imagine.
Yeah, so but I mean, it's an important place for quantum mechanics. You know that quantum mechanics was discovered by Niels Bohr, and he made the Copenhagen School of Quantum Mechanics. So all the major figures within quantum mechanics, actually, they worked here in Copenhagen. And also today we have, it's becoming a new epicenter of quantum technologies here in Copenhagen. So it's a good place to be for a quantum technology startup as Sparrow.
Very cool. So we'd like to kick things off, Kurt, getting to know you and your background. Can you share with us, where you're from originally, what's been your, journey in getting where you are today? Maybe even just a little bit about, your personal life so we can get to know you more.
Yeah, so I mean, basically, I'm a nerd. From I was young, I have been very interested in computers. So I came, before the personal computer, actually. So I had to take the bus to another town to get access to a computer. At that time, you had these punch cards. So I mean, this was how I made my first programs. But during my high school, I also got interested in physics. So I studied physics and computer science. And I managed to find a field, computer physics, where I could combine my two big interests. And so I made a PhD in electronic structure simulations. So it's doing quantum mechanics calculations on a computer, studying solid state materials. And I was on an academic track to become a professor. Then in my group, we studied how can you simulate electrical currents using quantum mechanics. And that was back in year 2000. And at that time, I saw maybe this could be applied within the semiconductor industry because transistors are getting smaller and smaller. So at some point, they will need to use quantum mechanical simulations to understand how does a transistor work. And this is when I then decided to make my first startup, Atomistics. That was a really interesting experience. How not to start a company. So a lot went wrong, some went right, but in the end, also there were problems with the investors and so on. I left the company and it went bankrupt during the financial crisis. So when I started my next company, actually based on the IP from the first one, which I bought from the bankruptcy estate, I learned a lot. I learned all the things not to do. So in the second company, I tried to do the opposite. In fact, I brought with me some of the best employees from the first company. And in the beginning, we always talked about what we should not do, what did we do in Atomistics that we should not repeat, and so on. But as we got more and more employees, they said, oh, stop that nonsense about Atomistics. I mean, we don't want to hear about it anymore. So at some point, we just talked about what you should do and what you should not do. So, yeah.
Well, that's awesome. It's that's a valuable thing that you've experienced, and you know, me and my co-founder, we've experienced similar, you know, a lot of similarities in that, where most of the time you don't get it right the first time. You know, your first entrepreneurial venture journey, it's a great learning experience. But that way, if you go after it again, you take what you learned, make it better, right?
Yeah, right. And actually the second time, it went really well. I mean, this software is now used by all the major semiconductor companies in the early materials discovery. And I sold off the company to Synopsys in 2017, and this is when I become a tech investor. And my role now in Sparrow comes out of that. So I was an early investor, and also there, I mean, the people were quite inexperienced, and things were going a little forth and back. And then the founder, Peter Lodal, asked me 2 years ago if I could step in as a CEO. And I thought, okay, I mean, why not? I cannot just stay at home playing tennis. I mean, I should... and it's so exciting being in this quantum technology business. So it's an opportunity for me also to learn some of the technology and be within research. And Sparrow has a great potential, so I took upon me that challenge 2 years ago. Yeah,
very cool. Well, yeah, that's you took that learning experience, found success in the next one, and then did such a good job with that you were asked to come back and do more. So that's great. So for those of us that may not fully understand what quantum mechanics is, can you give us the most simple definition possible?
We are talking about the first revolution of quantum mechanics. I mean, this is really what Niels Bohr did. I mean, they understood the laws of physics when you go down to the atomic level, the kind of physics that determines how does a solid state material work. And that enabled that we could make a new type of devices out of semiconductors. You understood what is a metal, what is a semiconductor, what can you use a semiconductor for? You can make transistors, you can make integrated circuits. I mean, that's coming out of understanding quantum mechanics. And so now we are starting the second quantum revolution. This is where we are saying, okay, I mean, at the atomic scale, things behave differently. Can we use that to make totally new technologies that we haven't thought about before? So if we can get material to display quantum mechanical behavior over long time scales, this behavior can be used for new things. I mean, it can be used for a new type of computer, a so-called quantum computer that works completely different from a normal computer. Where a normal computer works with bits, zeros or ones, either you have a 0 or you have a 1. NVIDIA, they can do parallel computations. I mean, it's why they are so powerful. So if they double the number of parallel computations, they get the double throughput. So they do thousands computations in parallel. A quantum computer works differently. It can be 0 and 1 at the same time. So you are in a so-called superposition. So you explore two states at the same time. That's called a qubit. Now, if you have 2 qubits, then you have 4 states because they can be entangled. So it can be in 4 states at the same time. If you have 3, then you can be in 8 states. 4 qubits in 16 states. So while an NVIDIA processor scales linearly with the number of processing units, then a quantum computer scales exponential with the number of processing units. So it's mind-boggling what you might be able to do with a quantum computer. Probably you know this thing about the chessboard. It has 64 places, and there was a king that asked the inventor of the chessboard, what do you want? He said, I want 1 rice corn in the first corner, and 2 in the next, and so on. And once you get to 64, the number of rice corns is more than the global production of rice for the next 1,000 years. So a quantum computer with 64 qubits you can simply not simulate that with a classical computer. So this is when you ask, what kind of things could you maybe do with such a type of device?
Yeah, it sounds like the possibilities are endless in a way, you know? So thank you for helping us understand that more. Yeah, quantum computing, and it seems like something that is it's making waves, you know, globally, and you're hearing a little bit more about it all the time. So yeah, thank you for sharing more about that. So you've been in this, you know, this industry for a while. You've got some great experience, and now you're doing it again. How important has it been to you to have and like to find and recruit the best team members possible to help you in you know, these discoveries and building these businesses?
Yeah, so, you know, I mean, my first company, QuantumWise, was a software company. So there's a lot of open source software developed by the best academic groups. So how can you as a commercial company compete with the best physicists that are developing specific software? And they are very good software, but in the kind of academics, you have a specialist group that are picked in one particular area. So what you need to build in a deep tech company, that's a more broader knowledge. So you need experts, the one leading experts, but in multiple areas. So this is where you differ. That the software we built in QuantumWise, we had leading experts in many different areas. So you need to be able to attract these experts that can read the scientific literature, understand what is state of the art in the within science, and then implement that and make the best possible implementation in your software. So this means they are not doing research. I mean, somebody discovered what to do, but they need to be able to comprehend the latest scientific research and also compare different types of research and then select the best and then implement that in multiple areas. So this is...
Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, so I mean, in that sense, so that was Sparrow Quantum, which I'm the CEO now. It's similar. I mean, we are a hardware company, but we need to be the best in a number of different areas. I mean, for instance, we are developing photonic chips, so we need to understand the processing of photonic chips. I mean, we need to do packaging of the chips. We are using quantum dots, so it's MBE growth. So we also need to be experts in MBE growth. We need to be experts in packaging. We need to be experts in how you can excite these quantum dots. We need to be experts in processing. So it's establishing this team of experts in different areas. I mean, this is what it's about to make a successful deep tech startup.
Yeah, and that kind of, I guess, leads to my next question. Are you finding team members all around the world to help with your initiatives, or are you kind of having to stay there within the Copenhagen area and trying to bring people in that area?
I mean, we find it very important to establish a team that is diverse. Also, I mean, now we're 25, and we have 25% women, for instance. And we would like to increase that because we know that having a good gender balance, I mean, there's a lot of talent, there's a lot of male talent, there's a lot of female talent, but if you don't have a certain amount of females on board, you will lose the female talent because they will not seek your company. And the same with having a diverse team of nationalities. If we are only Danes, then no foreigners would like to find a position at Sparrow. So we would also lose a lot of talent. So therefore, we try to. I mean, we always select the best, but we have make sure that there are no barrier. I mean, it's so easy for us to hire Danes, and there's a lot of very good Danes. But we try to make sure in our selection process that we give an equal opportunity to everybody. And we just had to.
That's fantastic and honorable. You know, I think oftentimes without even meaning to do this, so many companies convince themselves that they have to just find the best of the best in their local geographic area, and they forget or lose sight of the fact that there are 7 billion plus people in the world, you know? And so if we just focus on that small area for talent, that's all. Like, you're limiting yourself, and you're not bringing in other, you know, perspectives or points of view from other cultures. And you mentioned, you know, building up a stronger female presence in you know, Sparrow, and you know, having diversity in general, other nationalities. It's so valuable today, and it's becoming, you know, there are resources making that easier. Have you are all of your team members, are they on site, or are some of them remote?
I mean, I always valued that people should be on site. I mean, so it's if you have a team member that for some reason where the husband need to go somewhere, then and we have hired the wife, maybe if it allows it, she can work from outside the company. But I mean, in Sparrow Quantum, we are a hardware company. So I mean, there you need to go to the lab and you need to produce stuff. So for most of the positions, it's quite hard not to be on site. In my previous company, Quantum-wise, it was a software company, but there we also valued very highly that the team need to be on site, because to have the kind of discussions and do the inventions, and I mean, sometimes, I mean, you can do a lot on Teams, and it had become improved a lot, but I mean, to really understand these things and being in front of a whiteboard and drawing things, it still can do something that you can't do virtual.
Very good. Yeah, it makes sense. All right, last question. What would you say has been the most valuable learning experience or lesson that you've learned in finding A+ talent and then retaining them long term?
So I think, I mean, for me, always when I look to interview candidates, to me it's very important they are honest. I mean, so I probe a lot of different questions. I mean, in different areas. It's okay if people cannot answer, but if they pretend they can answer and they clearly cannot, I mean, this is a no-go. I mean, so you have to be honest and straightforward. So I think that's also very important in creating a good team, because people are not honest to each other and people pretend they can do something they cannot do, then you waste a lot of time as a company. So in finding the right talent, that has been kind of guiding things to me. And then in a company, you need different personalities. I mean, you need the stars that can do things that nobody else can do, but you also need workers and soldiers that can do the things that maybe the stars don't want to do, or they overlook as important. So I think you need a very diverse team. So I think for me, that's the key to success.
Wonderful. I couldn't agree more. A diverse team and keeping a culture of, transparency and openness. How it's hard. You may not always have the right people in the moment, but those that do, see the vision and fit that type of culture, you're always going to find success, it seems, so wonderful. Well, Kurt, thank you so much. For anyone watching or listening, this is Kurt Stokbro with Sparrow Quantum, and look him up, look up what they're doing. It's going to be, it's exciting, very interesting. They're making a big global impact with what they're building. Thank you for listening in. Once again, Distro.io, find and hire the best global talent within just a matter of hours. All right. Thank you so much, and we'll see you on the next one.